Hello and welcome back to Up the Villa. We have our opposition preview for Club Brugge v Aston Villa in the Champions League. Delighted to be joined by Matthias from the Cloak podcast. It's been very difficult to track someone down to do this, and you are the man to do it with all of your knowledge. So how are you?
I'm great, Luke. Thank you so much for having me here at your show. I heard that it's quite famous back there in England, so I hope I will be good enough for your podcast.
I'm sure you are. We're okay, to be fair. So a lot of these have gone down really well when we've done them in the Champions League because we're playing teams that we don't really have much knowledge of because we've never really played you before. So there's a great insight to be had between your history and your manager and your players and how you've got there and the journey that you're on. So just talk to me a little bit about the club's history, honours that you've won, big moments, etc.
Yeah, so we started in the first building year, if I can say so, is 1891. Club Brugge is quite known because we played in 1978 the final of the, I don't know how to say, the Cup of the Champions against Liverpool, and it was in Wembley. And my dad took, back in the days, the boat to go to see the game against Liverpool, and it was quite a big final. And yeah, since 10 years now, I think we've really surpassed our historical rival Anderlecht, which is really the rival in Belgium. In Belgium, we always speak about Anderlecht and Club Brugge, but since 10 years, we really have surpassed them, and we almost every year, I think the last 10 years, we had 8 titles out of 10 years, which is quite amazing achievement. So we are a bit the biggest club in Belgium of the last decade. But historically speaking, we are always speaking about Anderlecht and Brugge. And then, of course, you have some other good teams like Standard Liège, Genk, Ghent. They're doing also quite well, also in Europe. But yeah, Brugge is at this particular moment a bit of the reference in Belgium. Yeah.
And how do you fare over time then? You speak about Anderlecht being the team that's like your rival. Who comes out on top generally?
If you really see like the titles, then it's Anderlecht because they have more than over the 30 titles, and Brugge, we have 19, and we are really pitching for this 20th title and the second star on our shirt. So that's really the main goal of this season, is really to get the title and finally have the second star. But yeah, Anderlecht, historically speaking, is the biggest club on paper. But when you see the last 10 years, what we did and what they did, there is no comparison possible. We are, yeah, by far the biggest club in Belgium. And we have this little Brighton and Hove Albion team who's called Union Saint-Gilloise, who went quite far in the UEFA Europa League last season. They do also quite well, but this is like the satellite club of Brighton.
Yeah, it's interesting about the stars because Inter and AC Milan, they have the same in Serie A, don't they? If you win 20, you get 2 stars and you get 10 for 1. So yeah, that's really interesting, to be fair. So when obviously English fans look at the Premier League, we hold it in a really high regard. Where would you rank the Belgium league in comparison to other leagues across Europe?
To be fair, I would quite compare it with the Netherlands. I think because we are pitching since a few years to have like with what we call a Bene League. So that would be like the best teams in Netherlands with the best teams in Belgium. And I think that would be quite, equal in terms of level. So I think if you put Ajax, PSV Eindhoven, Feyenoord, Anderlecht, Club Brugge, Genk, you put like a top 8 or a top 10 with the 5 best out of Netherlands and 5 best out of Belgium, I think you would have a bit the same level. I know that our dear friends from the Netherlands, they always see us as the little brother. But in fact, I saw too many games to see that Dutch teams and Belgian teams, they're a bit the same level. So you can compare it. The top 3 of Holland is a bit the same as the top 3 of Belgium.
The Champions League format's changed. So, I mean, you play in the Champions League regularly, so I'll get your thoughts on that as well. But how have you fared within the Champions League over the course of your history?
With you mean really Club Brugge in the Champions League?
Yeah.
We did good because like the season 2022-2023, we ended by being second in a league phase against Porto, Leverkusen, and I miss one, and Atletico de Madrid. So we were second, and the first place was not for Atletico, it was for Porto. And we played 8 finals against Benfica. So it's one of the biggest achievements we had in Belgium history in football. That's when you compare the budgets, England versus Belgium, Germany versus Belgium, etc. We achieved to go to the 8 finals against Benfica in a group stage against Atletico de Madrid, Porto, Leverkusen. So it's kind of nice. There was a bit like personally my biggest achievement from my team. But yeah, in the Champions League, we always start a bit with the mindset, if we are third out of 4, that would be nice. If we can go higher, that would be just exceptional, like we did 2 years ago.
And how are you finding the new format? Obviously, it's different for everybody, that new whole league phase. I mean, Aston Villa, we were in pot 4, so we were in the lowest pot. So how I feel with it is that it gives us a bit of a better opportunity because you're playing 2 teams that are technically on your level rather than playing a really good team home and away, which gives you less of a chance to get through. So how are you finding it?
I like the format because it means more games, which is nice for a fan like me. It means more money for the club, which is also nice because now it's not 30 million for sure. Now it's 40 million euros for sure. So that's kind of nice. But to be honest, the teams that we face, the 8 teams that we face, are from a very high level. Because like the weakest opponent that we get is Sturm Graz, and we won against Sturm Graz, I think it was 1 month ago, something like that. But yeah, for the rest, I mean, we play Man City, Aston Villa, Dortmund, AC Milan, Juventus. What do we get as well? Sporting Club de Portugal.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no, it's completely crazy. When I saw like the 8 matches, I was like, okay, where could we get some points? Of course, Graz, and we also get Celtic Glasgow at the end of November. I will also go to Glasgow with my dad to. It will be also my only away game in Europe. But I really look forward because I heard that playing in Celtic Park is amazing. So it will be my first experience. But yeah, Aston Villa at home, to be honest, the fans of Club Brugge, we don't really imagine that we can get a point out of it because we saw the team of Unai Emery playing last season and particularly also this season. Okay, you lost against Tottenham Hotspurs this weekend, but I mean, the level of the team, normally you should win on Wednesday. But let's see, of course.
Yeah, and I think the other interesting part about the Champions League this year is that you kind of forget that we're all playing different games. So we focus on the games we've got, and we've got Celtic, and we've got them at our place at Villa Park, and you reel off your games that are completely different to ours. And it's strange when you look at the table and you kind of think we're not all playing the same team, so you don't know where
it's weird, huh?
each other is really. And like you say, you've got some difficult games, Juventus as well. So which one of those that you're playing are you most looking forward to?
But me personally, it will be the away game in Celtic. I think we can maybe get some points at home against Juventus because I really feel that Juventus this year is a weaker team than the past years. But yeah, that I'm really looking forward. I think home Villa and home Sporting Club de Portugal will be very, very tough because there is one Swedish striker who's playing in Portugal who's like scoring every single weekend, so that will be tough. And yeah, Aston Villa, as I said, as a supporter, I don't say we don't believe in it because we play at home, and you will see that our supporters can be really, really die hard. And it's also, we are the only club in Belgium who has a British atmosphere in the stadium. We sing for like more than 30 years, You Never Walk Alone, just before the game. We have a lot of British songs, also British banter against the opposite team. So we are the most British-minded team in Belgium. Yeah.
Well, we've got Liverpool at the weekend as well, so that should put us in good stead bit of a warm up here in that anthem. Then,
yeah, it will be a little warm up. It will be a warm up.
you mentioned off air that you'd played a team from Birmingham in blue. Do you want to talk about that experience?
But not really, because we lost 1-2 against them. It was the game, from my experience, where there was the most extra time. I think there was like 15 minutes extra time, and if I'm not mistaken, it was Wood who scored the 1-2 at the really 105th minutes. And I will always remember that song when they told us, they sang to us, we hate Villa more than you. And I didn't know about the rivalry between Aston Villa and Birmingham City. So then when I looked up on Google, on Wikipedia, I really saw that, yeah, it was a big rivalry, a derby. And then I understood. But at that time, Birmingham was quite, I think Zigic was also playing there. I'm not sure. But yeah, it was an annoying British team who never gave up. It was tough. Yeah.
Tell me about it. They are very annoying. I'm sure Villa fans will mention that in the comment section.
Absolutely.
So your manager, Nicky Hayen. So has he been your manager for a while, or is he a new manager?
Good pronunciation about the coach. It was perfect. No. Nicky Hayen is quite an unknown coach, to be fair. It's a young guy. I think it's in the beginning of the 40s. He was mostly coach in the second league in Belgium. He arrived something like 2-3 years ago as youth coach for our U21 team. We had a Norwegian crazy guy as a coach last season. His name is Ronny Deila. He was also the coach of Celtic Glasgow a few years ago. Ronny Deila did an awful job in Bruges, to be honest. It was really not good enough. And just before, I don't know if you know, Luke, but in Belgium we have a playoff system where we play the 6 Belgian. I should take 1 hour to explain that, but in really short. The 6th best team in Belgium play against each other. 10 games, 5 away, 5 homes, and the best team out of those 10 games is champion. And we put Nicky Hayen, who was our youth coach at that moment, we put him as a A-team coach. So it was completely crazy. Nobody expected anything from Nicky Hayen, and he managed to be from the 4th position with 10 points behind Union Saint-Gilloise, which is like the satellite club of Brighton, and we managed to become champion after 10 games, and I think we had like 25 points out of 30 points. So Nicky Hayen was a legend, a Bruges icon, and then of course our board decided to keep him as a first coach, and now he's doing quite good. In the Belgian league, we are second, just behind Genk, who have really an amazing season at the moment. And in Europe, we have 3 points out of 9 points. So it's not illogic when you play AC Milan and Dortmund as well. So
yeah, so and to be fair, I watched the AC Milan game. Obviously, I was watching it because I knew we were going to play, and I was really impressed with how you played in that game. You were quite narrow with your midfield 3 and your front 3. You sort of set a bit of a trap, and you was able to pounce and break quickly. Is that sort of like an integral part to the way that you play?
I should be watching my words, because maybe I will tell too much to the Aston Villa people, but no, it's okay. Nicky Hayen always the same 4-3-3. Always, he will never change from that. And it's always one back who is like more defensive, and it's very much the right back, and the left back is very much offensive. And he always let the wingers, the offensive wingers, play like they want. Our best player, purely in terms of potential and talent, is Andreas Skov Olsen. He's a Danish winger. He also played with Denmark during the Europe, and yeah, he's like the best player. We also have Christos Tsolis, a Greek winger, and what our biggest problem since this year, and you will feel it as well on Wednesday, our striker Gustav Nilsson, Swedish, he's for the next 4 weeks injured, and we don't really have a valuable striker behind it. We have 2 okay strikers. We have Ferran Jugla, who is Catalan from Barcelona B, and we have a young Belgian talent from Mans. But none of them two is really a great striker. So I think that the fact that Nielsen is out is really good news for you. But the quality this year at Bruges is our midfield. We have Hans van Aken, which is the best player in Belgium. He's 32 years old. He's the captain. A lot of assists, a lot of goals. He always scores in Champions League phase. So Hans van Aken is really the leader. You have Rafael Onyedika, who is a Nigerian number 6 and who can play. I think you put him tomorrow in Tottenham Hotspurs or in Aston Villa or in Fulham or any team in Premier League. Yeah.
Sorry, is he suspended or not?
Yeah, of course. I completely forgot, but you're totally right. He's suspended because he had a red card against AC Milan, which was a logic red card, to be fair. And so he won't play. And that means that I think it will be Yashari, this guy is really good, Swiss guy. And I think Kasper Nielsen, Danish guy, because Hugo Vetlesen, Norwegian guy, is quite good. But I think he's injured as well. He's not sure yet. And that's also very good news for you, because next to Gustav Nilsson, Onyedika is injured, suspended as well. But he will be missed because when Rafa is playing well, he can play in any sub-top club in Europe. And against Dortmund, it was in September, he played the best game of his career. And I think that a lot of scouts in the stadium were really like, wow, Rafa Onyedika is something else. Yeah.
Yeah, you've touched on You'll Never Walk Alone, the anthem. So what's your stadium like, atmosphere? Do you have sort of like a main stand that all of sort of like the loud fans go in? What can Villa fans sort of expect from the atmosphere?
Yeah, you can expect a British atmosphere. We also have what we call the East Stand, which is like a bit the old school firm hooligans from the past. They are all gathered in a little part of the stadium. I really also want to tell the Aston Villa fans, I apologize that the stadium is really not good at all. So we are pitching since 2006 to have a new stadium. There are 10 people literally living around the stadium who are blocking that for now 18 years, which is completely crazy. But the stadium is really old-fashioned. It's not good enough. If it's raining, you will also feel the rain coming downstairs to you. It's like horrible. And I one day, it was during the COVID period, I lived the game of Bruges in the away part of the stadium. You don't want to sit there. So I already apologize for the Aston Villa fans when they will come to the Bruges stadium, because that's not a good experience I think that they will have. But the atmosphere will be we are not the craziest supporters in the world, but we are really close to the how could I say that, close to the field. And when there is a decision from the referee, we always contest it. So you will feel a bit of a pressure from the 30,000 people, but don't expect much about the stadium itself. Yeah.
That sounds good. So we've kind of got a bit of a Belgian revolution in our central midfield, Onana and Tielemans. So what are your thoughts on those two players?
I think Youri Tielemans will not be very welcomed by the Club Brugge fans because he has a past at Anderlecht. He played there since he's like, I think, 10 years old. He's a bit of like Romelu Lukaku. He's grown up at Anderlecht. And in Bruges, we are not very much fan of the Belgian national team, to be honest, because they all come from Anderlecht. And as a Club Brugge fan, you don't really like the Anderlecht talents. There is too much rivalry. But Onana will be very much welcome, because Onana, I like him as a person and as a player personally, but that's really personal. And Tielemans, of course, he has talents and he has an amazing free kick, an amazing kick from outside of the box. He's not a very good penalty kicker, but that's something else. We saw it with the Belgian team as well. But yeah, I think that Tielemans will receive a bit of a banter from the Bruges fans, that's for sure. But Onana, everybody will be happy to play him, because in Belgium everybody likes Onana. Everybody.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Then, so from a Club Brugge fan's perspective, then, what are your thoughts on Aston Villa? You know, how are we perceived in Belgium?
I'm not to be honest, Luke. I'm not surprised by how Aston Villa is playing in the Champions League, because of course you just said we come from pot 4, but that's just because you don't have an history in the Champions League. But when I see the coach and the players that you got, I mean, okay, maybe beating Bayern Munich, I didn't expect that at home, but for the rest, the way they play, the results, I'm not surprised. And in Belgium, we are very much aware about Aston Villa and the quality, because everybody in Belgium who loves football is watching Premier League. So everybody know that Aston Villa is a great team with a great coach. Yeah, when I see that Leon Bailey is on the bench, I mean, yeah, we would dream about Leon Bailey at Bruges. And you have also other players. When I just, against Tottenham, I really saw, okay, who's on the bench, who's playing. And I was really like, okay, even the B players who are not playing, they are amazing. So if we get 1 point on Wednesday, Luke, I will be so happy. But if we get more, why not? Because we play at home, and you never know, it's still football.
Yeah, I know. So touching on the game then, what are you expecting, and how do you expect the game to go, and sort of how should we expect it to go from your perspective? Because, you know, I watched the game against Dortmund and they sort of scored late goals, didn't they? And that scoreline sort of flattered it towards the end. And then I saw you play against AC Milan, and you played really, really well. Yeah. So the signs there that you can pose us big problems. So how do you expect it to go?
If we attack the game the same that we did against Dortmund, Graz, and AC Milan, then I think that we can challenge Aston Villa, because the problem of this year is really easy: efficiency. If you don't, we created 4 5-stars occasions against AC Milan, where like one player was 1 vs 1 against the goalkeeper, and we all missed that. So I think if we can really get from a little chance a goal, then we can turn the game. Because when Bruges Stadium is getting crazy with the British atmosphere, you have a goal, we are playing well, then everything can happen. That's also the magic about Bruges, and I really hope that you will witness it as well on Wednesday. But yeah, I think if Aston Villa play at his top level as from minute 1, then I think it will be very, very, very difficult for us. I really believe that. We didn't speak about Wesley Moraes. I know that he played just a few for Aston Villa, but he was a very good striker at Bruges, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, and he sort of had a bad injury and never really recovered. Anyway, It's been absolutely great chatting to you. I really appreciate it, because I think these episodes are really good for Villa fans to understand what we're coming up against and what a club you are. And you've gave us a really good insight into Club Brugge. So I wish you all the best for the season, and hopefully in the future we get to chat again soon. But what I will do is I'll tag your podcast in the title and description, so Villa fans can go and check it out and subscribe to you guys as well. So thank you, mate.
Amazing. It was a pleasure, and thank you, Luke, for the time and to welcome me in your podcast. I hope that my English was okay to understand everything, but no, it was a great pleasure. And what do you expect, Luke, about the game of Wednesday?
I think Villa need a reaction, obviously, because we lost against Spurs. So we need to bounce back. We lost the game in the League Cup as well. I've seen enough from you guys to know that you can hurt us, because on transition we've struggled a little bit this season, and how you sort of set those little traps for AC Milan, you know, with the balls going into midfield. If Tielemans isn't on it, if Onana's not on it, then you guys can break and pose us problems. So I think it's going to be a really tight game, and yeah, I think it's going to be difficult for us. But you know, from a Villa point of view, hopefully we've got enough to warrant the win. But yeah, I'm under no illusion that it's going to be tough, because when we played in the Conference League last year, you know, we respect every European team we come up against because everybody's, you know, really good. So
yeah, we also count a lot on Simon Mignolet, that you of course know from Liverpool. He's our goalkeeper at Bruges, and Mignolet at this moment is in the biggest form of his life. He's really like weekend after weekend after weekend saving points with crucial saves. So I expect a big Simon Mignolet, and I think we will need him when I see John Duran and Ollie Watkins and Rodgers, and when I see this Armada offensive of Aston Villa, then I'm a bit scared, to be honest, but who knows?
Yeah, everybody mentions Duran. I think world football knows about John Duran now. But when I did see,
yeah,
sorry,
I
when I
think he
did
will.
see,
Yeah, go ahead, Luke. Sorry.
When I did see that you got Mignolet in goal, I thought, God, how old's he now? Like, because he left the Premier League ages ago.
Yeah, he left, and that was the biggest, for me personally, the biggest transfer we have ever made at Bruges was Simon Mignolet from the bench of Anfield to Club Bruges directly, because normally you always do another club and then maybe you end up to come at Bruges. But yeah, he went from the Community Shield. He took a plane to Bruges, and then he signed his contract for 5 years. And now he's, I think he's like 35. No, he's 36, I think, 36 years old. But he's really playing like he's 25. He's really at the greatest shape in his career. And I hope he will save us again on Wednesday.
Yeah. So thank you, mate. It's been a pleasure chatting to you.
Really pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for having me. And have a great game on Wednesday, and may the best win, of course.